Welcome back to Food Entertainment for my third review on this session, which will be my conclusion of the brought on, now the 3 films, themology of our main characters meeting a terrifying and horrific end. Now, before a film I thought was going to actually be a product of its time and not really be all that good. Boy, was I wrong. This film is not perfect in any way, shape, or form, but it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. And that is for 1977's The Haunting of Julia. Now, that's the American catalog, title of the movie. The movie is actually called Full Circle. Film stars Mia Farrow. Now, this is a 4K release, but interesting enough, this has a mono sound presentation. But it doesn't make the sound presentation any less cool. But first, let's go into my thoughts of the film. I got to look at a frame here just because I do mention it. Like I said, I didn't think it was going to be that good. What I saw is basically what might be the original movie that led to films like Talk to Me, which came out recently. They might still be playing in theaters. As well as Stir of Echoes with Kevin Bacon. It definitely, in my opinion, is a film that kind of opened up the door, led the way to those 2 great films. And that's interesting. That it was 1977 indie-like horror film that no one ever heard of that kind of did that. Now, I'm pretty sure 1970s fans, people probably heard of the movie Full Circle, or what they like to call it, The Haunting of Julia. But yeah, to me, it's just a film I never heard of before, and I just took it on a whim. And it definitely paid off. Taking a film on a whim, it did pay off. And I got it mostly because I collect Scream Factory releases, and that this was just the one for that week. So, 2 actually. It was one of 2. The other one was Dead Silence, which of course we just reviewed. Now let's talk about the plot. Rather than reading it, which would be easier, but I know enough about it that I can kind of just tell you. After an accidental death of her daughter, a grieving mom who is having issues with her husband and basically has chosen to separate herself from her husband, her friends decide to try to comfort her by basically doing like that whole spiritual talking, with somebody who supposedly talks to voices from beyond the dead and all that stuff. They have a gathering around. And after this, she starts to have haunting visions of her daughter and haunting visions of other things. And it's more like memories of her daughter. She's having hauntings of something else. And it turns out to be it was some mental patient or something of that kind. A very disturbing woman, and she discovers that it's connected to the murder of someone. Sorry, it's been a while since I've seen the film, so I'm just trying to do a basic plot of it. And what we discover throughout all of this bizarreness is that it kind of deals with death and getting over death. And in the end, she basically, after solving the mystery, starts to put the pieces together. That it was related to a similar thing with the murder that she supposedly thought she was investigating, that was related to the supernatural things that she was experiencing. As it turns out, it was similar to her situation. The only difference is the mom of that child or whatever didn't, decide to go through and kill herself. But finally seeing the spirit of her daughter and already way going nuts and bat crazy, our main character does slit her throat and kill herself. Thinking that is going to, allow her to be reunited with her daughter. This is a very twisted movie for what it is. It is rated R, but wait a minute, is it? Let me go ahead and take a look. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is rated R. I just had to look for the R on that. It's kind of hard with old films like that. Sometimes, they're not rated at all, or rated 13 when it should be rated R. It's weird. Poltergeist, anybody? How the hell is that rated PG? But yeah. So yeah, that's basically the plot. And like I said, it kind of sounds like Stir of Echoes, doesn't it? It kind of sounds like Talk to Me. Because, nothing ever happens if you go ahead and talk to spirits from beyond the grave. Nothing bad happens. Well, this might be the first movie that tells you that something bad might actually happen. Then we see all these other great movies that came after it that kind of say the same thing. Now the quality of the film, the 4K. This is a 1977 film, and it wasn't like a really big budget movie. This was definitely more of an independent movie. That was almost the version of just being an independent film, but it's not truly an indie film. I guess this movie did have that a theatrical release. It just wasn't a big movie like, say, in terms of Mia Farrow, it wasn't Rosemary's Baby or something like that. But it definitely does have a cult following. If it didn't have a cult following, then Scream Factory wouldn't have it as a part of their catalog. The 4K is not the greatest I've seen, but it definitely does make the film look better. This film still has a lot of grain. It still looks like a product of its time, but I could definitely see from watching the film that the 2160 Ultra HD resolution does give you more detail. You can see more. Now this is coming from somebody who actually hasn't seen any other version but the 4K version of the film, mind you. But I can kind of spot things like that. And the blacks, like HDR10, I'd say the blacks probably have a little bit of an uplift. For sure. Not that there's a lot of deep blacks in this movie. It's pretty more neutral looking, but you can definitely see that there's some work put in there. The audio. I got to write not channels on this. Oh yeah, that's right, they did up it, didn't they? The audio is an Upscape DTS HD MA stereo sound mix, taken from the 2-channel mono elements of the original sound presentation of the film. Now, what does that actually mean? What that means is you're going to have a purely a stereo sound presentation. They can possibly be manipulated slightly for a surround experience, but best viewed on just 2 channels. It is basic stereo form. And what it does is it kind of just adds a bit of dramaticness to the mono elements of the movie that it had back in 1977. That's basically what it does. So it's not to be a surround presentation of any kind, but it does have a lot better quality because it is stereo. So it will actually make use of your subwoofer. It will definitely be more dramatic, but don't expect too much out of it. But that's pretty much all there's to say about The Haunting of Julia. I did take this one out on a limb, and the limb did pay off. So, from a good critic to his audience, check it out. And I will see you guys next time for next review.